Standing By, the Terry and Ted podcast, is sponsored by Jaguar Land Rover Laval. Get out of the big city and experience a construction zone-free test drive. There is such a thing.
Well, the fingers have been snapped. That means the podcast has begun for another episode, Ted.
It's another finger-snapping episode of Standing By, the Terry and Ted podcast.
Do your thing.
Brought to you by...
Yeah, no, do your other thing.
What other thing?
Do your pheasant pucker flitz.
I'm not the pheasant plucker. I'm the pheasant plucker's son. I'm just plucking pheasants till the pheasant plucking's done. I split a sheet I split, and on the splitted sheet I sit. I've done that on the radio.
When yes, high wire act. When you sing finger snapping, that's what I thought.
The finger snapping podcast.
I'll be okay. I'm all right. We have company.
We do have company, and we're going to studiously ignore them like we always do with company. Don't take it personally, Shane.
Like a couple of ours.
Yeah, we have to take care of. We got to take care of a little business right off the hop by thanking our
business too. Yeah,
thanking our title sponsors from Jaguar Land Rover Laval. Can you believe that a fancy pants, highfalutin luxury car brand?
And can I just say something? Yes. They don't even ask us anything. I said to Ted, we better phone them and tell them how we're doing.
Yeah.
Let them know that people like the podcast. They're like, we don't care. We just want to be on the podcast.
We want to be associated with you guys. And so they are as our title sponsors. They had supply chain issues like everybody else during the pandemic, but it's all coming back online now. They're taking delivery of the new generation of Range Rover. They're taking orders for the Range Rover Sport, which is the most popular model at Jaguar Land Rover Laval. That's the one that people seem to like the most. And there's a new one coming next year. It's the Land Rover Defender 8-seater. They've had clients say, I love this Range Rover, but I need something with 8 seats. And they say, well, the Range Rover is they make that's the optimal 5-passenger SUV. We're not going to mess with that formula. But the Defender is coming, and it will seat 8 comfortably. It'll compete with the likes of the Cadillac Escalade or the Ford Expedition or the GMC Suburban, but it'll be a Land Rover, don't you know? And a Land Rover Defender at that. The old Defender, the original Defender, was the one you used to see in Doctari.
Going to put another song in my head.
There you go. You do that better than I do, though, because you can hit the high notes. Yeah, they've come a long way since that little military-looking issue back in the Doctari day. The Land Rover Defender it's like a luxury tank. Yeah. Go up and have a look. Go up and have a look at all the vehicles at Jaguar Land Rover Laval, and look online. Why don't you at jaguarlaval.ca and landroverlaval.ca? We thank them for their ongoing support.
As we say, our title sponsor. And one of the things, what's happened?
You just hit the microphone with your glasses.
Yeah, with my glasses. I did.
And pretended it didn't happen. And you thought I was going to let it go.
I thought so. I was hoping. And one of the things that I said at the end of the last podcast, and I thought I would say at the beginning of the podcast, I was talking to somebody, Reg Johns.
Yes.
Reg Johns is... He's like the Bill Belichick of radio.
Yeah.
This Reg Johns programmed some amazing radio stations over the years, including here in Montreal, CKGM, and is one of the most respected people in the broadcast game, and now has moved to the world of podcasts. And him and I had a phone conversation. He said, don't forget to tell people to share your podcast. It's important. He said, make sure that your fans, people that love the podcast, tell other people about the podcast. He said, have people, if they hear an episode, to share it along, send it along and email it to them or share the link with them. And we'd appreciate that if you do that. If you like what you hear and you're having fun with it, do share it with friends who may not know about that. We would... Ted and I will come over and give you a present.
We will. And Bill Belichick is a good comparable for Reg, except Reg is not nearly that crabby.
That's true. Yeah. That's absolutely true. Time to introduce you to our guest on this episode. It's the legendary, if you live in Montreal, he's a legendary guy. Shane Murphy has been just a landmark part of the music scene in Montreal since 96, Shane?
I would say, yeah.
Would that be appropriate, 90 or accurate, 1995, 96, somewhere in there?
Yeah, that's when I first started playing as Shane Murphy.
Is that not your real name?
No, it's not.
I didn't know this.
No.
This is news to me. Breaking news, Ted.
That's right.
Shane Murphy.
His real name is Jesus Murphy. Jesus.
Don't mess yet. That was going to change my name, actually.
Yeah.
It's like Shane Jesus Murphy. But I have to deal with the Catholics. They get touchy about that stuff.
Yeah.
So is it a stage name?
No, I'm
No,
messing
you're
with
just messing with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right out of the gate, he's having
out
us
of the
on.
gate,
He was
isn't he?
actually mocking me even before we started.
I don't want to talk about that. I just want to talk about Sunday.
What?
Bill Belichick.
Shane, what's your background? Where are you? Like, these are questions that I tried to answer. Not much about you online when I was doing my research last night. Are you from here?
Yeah, born and raised.
Born and raised Montreal.
My dad is a Goose Village, Griffintown, Point St. Charles, Verdun Irish guy.
That Goose Village boy, that's Irish history.
And my mom is from the North End. Mm-hmm. Now they call it the Mile End.
Right.
But when she was growing up, Waverly and Van Horn. Mm-hmm. And I grew up in Verdun. And then
Verdun boy.
Yeah, and then I moved to NDG when I was about 14.
Oh.
So I went to Verdun Catholic High School, and then my mom said, "You're going to Loyola." I said, "What's Loyola?" And Loyola at the time was a big guitar school.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
A lot
The
of guitar
Catholic
players.
Boys School, Loyola, was a big guitar
We
school?
had nothing to do, yeah.
Yeah?
Father Brennan had a old Spanish guitar, and we could go there and sit there on our lunch break and just pick. And my cousin Danny gave me a guitar when I was 10, and I didn't play it for 2 years.
Just sat there.
Just sat there, but I was the coolest kid in Verdun because I had an electric guitar.
Right.
Saying. Yeah. So then he came and checked on me. He said, "Well, if you don't start playing the guitar soon," because I didn't know, it was just look good in my room, try to press the girls. He said, "If you don't start playing, I'm going to take it back." So I moved to NDG, Loyola, trying to make friends, and it was right at the time that Michael J. Fox released Back to the Future, 1986.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that was a big movie in Loyola, and then I started playing guitar. Right? We know how that goes.
I'm thrilled that you brought one, by the way. We'll be able to use it a bunch of times during the podcast.
And so I played sports at Loyola. I played football, wrestled, and the guitar was always there. And then I started playing with my cousins. And then I got the bug. And then I did my first bar gig. I was 16.
Wow.
And then gigging. And then I started making money, started getting paid, playing the guitar. And
Next thing you know, you're a musician.
yeah.
Did you get razzed? Because I know this because I was born in Verdun.
Mm-hmm.
My parents were also both born in Verdun, and my dad moved us out to the West Island in 1965. So my formative years were in 65. But I remember my mom saying people in Verdun made fun of us. Oh, Mr. Fancy Pants off to the West Island. Same thing with NDG. Oh, Mr. Fancy Pants moving to NDG.
Yeah, there was
Did that happen?
There was definitely some ball busting going on when I went to visit my friends back in Verdun.
Right.
Verdun's a very real place.
Yeah, it's a blue collar, hard working,
rough
people,
and tumble,
Irish, French.
Yeah, and people are very real there.
Yeah,
and very honest with you. Like I remember more than on one occasion. You'd be walking to school and some kid would be like, "Hey, I don't like your fucking face." I was like, "Excuse me." And then, but it's a very grounding place.
Big time.
You
Absolutely.
can't really, as they say, as my family members say, don't get your arse over your shoulder.
Yeah.
Meaning don't think you're,
Yeah.
So-
Don't think you're all the business.
Yeah. So as the music, music thing would, started to progress and different festivals and this and that, people be, "Oh yeah, you think your arse is a star?" I was like, "What?" "Yeah, you think your arse is a star, eh? You're a fucking tough guy." So it's always they're looking at you going, don't think,
Mr. Big Shot.
Yeah, just don't think too much of yourself and everything. And that definitely imprinted on me.
Keep your feet on the ground. What street in Verdun?
Beatty and Burling.
Oh, Beatty.
Buzz Burling.
Beatty.
Buzz Burling.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a war hero.
For people who don't know.
Well, Buzz Burling was, I don't know his exact story. I just know he was a World War II fighter ace.
And a hero.
From Verdun and a World War, a hero. I think he may have been, I believe he was Canada's highest scoring fighter pilot.
Yep.
In World War II. I've lived in Montreal for 37 years, and I don't know what Goose Village is.
Goose Village is what became Griffintown.
Yeah?
And Goose,
a small
Goose Village is
section,
like
like 4 square blocks.
But I remember my parents telling me that if you were in Verdun was one thing. If you were from the Point, that was another level of tough. If you were in Griffintown, that was another level of tough and Scrabble. And if you were from Goose Village, you were hard Scrabble and had to fight your way out of there.
Yeah, and now it's just all condominiums.
Yeah,
Jesus,
that's right.
Where's the bucket of blood?
The Olympic Tavern that moved. I think it's on.
So it's no longer.
Wellington
Was it
now.
ever called the bucket of blood, or was that its
The
nickname?
Olympic Tavern was the bucket of blood.
Yeah?
that was his nickname.
It was
I
a
think
nickname,
The
okay.
Capri moved from.
Okay.
St. Patrick to Wellington. The bucket of blood closed. I don't know how. It's funny that you know all these names. Like,
Well, I'm in AA.
hey, that's why. That's a nice segue.
Yeah.
Grant me the serenity.
Yeah.
No, they had great names of all those bars. I remember my dad going to the Fiesta and the Palomino and the Dew Drop In, but not. I thought it was spelled D-E-W, like a drop of dew.
Yeah.
D-O.
Yeah, Dew Drop In.
And I was like,
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Dew Drop In.
Do drop in and bring your paycheck.
Yeah.
But great name, great bar names.
It's
but
interesting to me because when I was a kid, I thought I was born on Moffat, raised on, and we moved from Moffat to Osborne, and Beatty was where the member of Parliament, whose name escapes me, he lived on Beatty. So I just assume all the big shots lived on Beatty.
you know what? I drive by it now and again just to sort of get that. I know there's a feeling that I have when I go through those streets that I came up from, you know, because you're in your little circles, like whether you're Hudson or the West Island or LaSalle, you tend to
stay in your
just
bubble.
stay there, and I drive by, and it's it's a beautiful place, and there's beautiful homes there, and it was just a rough neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know,
But don't you find, Shane, it imprints you in some way? Because I
sure.
feel that.
Yeah, I remember I was like not a mama's boy, but I guess a bit of sissy. But after you get clocked in the face a couple of times, like at least I know what that is. Now when I see people talk to other people disrespectfully, I can honestly say that person's never been fucking punched in the face really hard, right? I just see guys chirping at other guys, and I'm like, wow. Like I remember. I was Peretz, the sippy sack.
Sure, yeah.
I had a big one.
Yeah.
And this kid said, I was about 15, and I remember I was 10. And he goes, give me your sip sack. I said, fuck you, I'm gonna give myself. Bang! Boom! Right in the nose. And I gave my sippy sack. But I turned around, and maybe if I said, listen, excuse me, sir, I worked very hard for my paper route, that I wouldn't get jacked in the face like that. Yeah. But made me a politer guy.
By the way,
I don't know. I respect that
Politer,
you said...
is that a word? Can you edit that out, Poseidon? No, I'm a politer guy.
I respect that you said fuck you to the guy.
Yeah.
I think that's worth being popped in the nose.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But were you? Look at the size of the arms on this.
I know.
guy.
Yeah, no one's going to be...
I don't want you to.
No,
pop me
no
in
one's
the head
trying to
with
take
those
your
arms.
sippy sack these
No.
days.
Were you always a big kid?
No,
Okay.
I was just average sized, and that sounds weird. I gained like maybe 20 pounds, 25 pounds between the ages of 17 and 18.
Yeah.
And it just, and luckily, because I was a sissy at 17.
Yeah.
And then, I had
Nobody
traps,
took
and they were like my new toy. It
Nobody
came
took your
on.
sippy sack.
No one took my sippy sack. Yeah. But, no, it was weird. I was like a nerdy, I played sports, but I was nerdy. Like I had like little snakes and stuff like that. And I had my guitar.
Yeah. Do you, is your mastery of the blues connected in any way to your upbringing, do you think?
It's hard to draw parallels because the people who came up with that art form, it's a whole different thing, and but I listening to it, there's the musical impact it had on me when you first hear those this type of thing. For me, anyways, you're like. That type of thing, as a young kid, that moved me. You don't really understand the words about you're 14 years old.
Yeah.
You don't really know what it's like when a woman leaves you. You know the guy's singing about it, you believe him. But as I got older, I think it resonated more with me. So it's just a very true art form, I guess.
Yeah.
And obviously it becomes, there's a lot of tropes and cliches, and you hear some modern blues and you're like, oh, the guy's just writing it to get on Spotify or for what I don't know, whatever. But it's always been a very big part of what I my musical stylings. You know, started with the blues and then morphed into R&B and funk and reggae.
So you were attracted to the blues right out of the gate?
Muddy Waters, yeah.
Yeah. At what age?
15.
How do you get the blues when you're 15?
I don't know.
Yeah, I get them old Verdun blues again, baby. I get them old sippy sack blues, baby.
I got the sippy sack.
I got the sippy sack blues.
A friend of mine who's a big blues fan down in New Brunswick, he likes to say, if you don't like the blues, you're just too damn happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, like country music,
So
right?
when you
exactly.
got the guitar, Shane, and you started to pick up the guitar and fool around with it, were you also like buying records and listening to your music, and who were you listening to at the time?
Yeah, buying tapes. I remember I went over to my friend's house and he said, "My mother's got this record of this guy who plays upside down," and I said, "Upside down." So we went over and he pulls it out, and it was like at that point I was into Chuck Berry and Muddy Waters. I had heard on the radio, like a Rolling Stone. You know?
Yeah.
People call me a Rolling Stone. I'm just a man with a home. Anyways, so he gets back. It's quintessential. The mom is doing whatever out that night, working. She had a job, and get there and pulls out the vinyl. He puts it on, looking at the thing, and I'm like, that guy's playing his guitar the wrong way. So then he puts on Purple Haze, Are You Experienced? Jimi Hendrix, and that was Chuck Berry, Muddy Waters, and that was the next sort of thing that really got me going.
Hendrix played the guitar upside down?
Well, he played right-handed models, left-handed.
Oh, okay.
But
I thought
but strung right for him. Right?
I thought you were going to say Jeff Healey. That's where I thought that was going.
Jeff Healey was my first concert. I was 15.
Yeah?
I saw him at the Spectrum. He was 24.
Wow.
And talk about a talent and a great jazz trumpeter, which I didn't know. I only found out.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it's the Kings of Rhythm. Jeff Healey's Kings of Rhythm. So the Hendrix thing really flipped my wig, and I was just like, man, it's just.
So
it's that, like, as you guys probably have music when you're a teenager that you listen to, and when you hear those songs.
Yeah, well, I was listening to Hendrix when I was a teenager, which was probably
Right?
30 years before you were a teenager, or 20 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But imagine Maybelline, 1955,
Yeah.
and they released Are You Experienced in 67. That's 12 years.
Yeah.
Between, why can't you be chewing? Bow, bow, ooh, give me some brown acid. Give me some brown acid and some Blue Nun wine, and let the good times roll, baby.
So when
But he was from another planet, right?
yeah, I agree with that. But when you hear that, do you immediately go home and try to emulate or imitate that?
Somewhat, but I mean, he was really like Miles Davis wanted to record with him right before he passed away.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, we should do something."
Yeah.
Whatever. Hendrix was really sort of like another example. Like Purple Haze, everyone thinks it's right, but it's this. Right? You hear that?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a fucked up thing to play at the beginning of the song.
It's almost a little off key.
Yeah.
Well, it's what's called a tritone. But here, right? But this, you're like, you must be pretty high. And someone's like, yo, I got this, baby. Check this out. Hey, that sounds good. Hey, fuck it, we'll put it on the record. And then, wow. So you're like, so when you're 15, it's turning you on, but my brain and my musical brain didn't really make the connection. It was more trying to just be in awe of listening to the record.
Because sometimes I would imagine you would hear that and go, I give up. I can't do that.
Yeah, but and learning an instrument, I think, is really great. Learning an instrument, it really really changed my life as my cousin gave me that gift, and it was up to me, but whatever. But like Loyola and meeting guys and how many, the brotherhood of the guitar, you know what I mean? Like just so many guys came out of there.
How did you learn it? Like, what I want to know about guitar playing. Can I pick this
Sure,
up?
go ahead.
Okay, so this is
TD in the house with the Gretsch, baby.
Okay, I'm doing this to make a point.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're watching this on video, you saw Shane pick up the guitar, and it's like a part of his body, right? And in grade 6, somebody showed me,
Hey.
and those chords
That's
in
all
my
you need.
hands are a fucking disaster.
Do it again. One more time.
Okay, so
getting fancy now. Yeah.
Right.
So what that person showed you was basically the key to rock and roll.
Right.
Sorry, finish what were you going to say?
Well, so it's G, C, D, A minor,
E minor,
A
yeah.
minor.
Yeah.
So you can play some stuff around the campfire with that.
You play everything with that.
Can you?
Anything, yeah.
But there's a difference between what I just tried to do, and obviously I don't play and I don't practice, but I can hear your ear. Like I'm witnessing your ear. Like I said to you, you said, this was before we started recording, how does the theme to Bonanza go? And Ted and I went, and you went,
And that's it.
like,
I'm doing that
Do-
for
do
the surf
you-
rockers, yeah.
do you, I'm really having a hard time expressing my question. Do you see it, or did the fingers just know where to go now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They do, yeah. They do.
So if I say, da-da, you could find that on the fret.
Yeah. And it depends how naturally talented you are. There
And
are some
that's-
people with perfect
Right.
pitch. You could go da-da.
Right.
It's like it's me going, what color is that?
Okay.
They have that in their head. That when
'Cause
you
that-
talk about perfect pitch.
Right.
So you go da-da, like, and I don't have perfect pitch. I have like relative pitch, but
Right.
they would know exactly what note. I would have to screw around and find it.
But Mr. Murray, who showed me those chords, he can show me those chords, and if I practice, I guess I could play House of the Rising Sun or something. But I'll never be able to do that because I don't have what's in there, what you have. Would you agree with that?
you have to have the will and the intent to do
Yeah,
it.
but don't you, it's
But
like,
music is like you can enjoy music, right?
Yes.
You turn it on and you say, okay, this is my,
right.
It resonates within me. It makes me feel good.
Right.
Music makes me feel good as a listener, but also you have that, extra thing that makes you
Right.
keep going back to
It's
the
like-
instrument. Whether it's somebody like Prince
Right.
can literally play anything, and I thought it was a joke. I went to his last concert in Montreal, and I'm like, he's just him and his piano. Like, how good could he be on piano? Right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's in the bio, plays 24 instruments, and you're like, okay, well, whatever. And I love Prince, little pencil thing and the high heels. I think it's awesome. He's a bad motherfucker, So when we showed up, and he started playing, and his father was a jazz piano player and didn't let him play, and you could just see the commitment to the instrument,
Right.
or music in his case. But for me, it was really the guitar was just a constant in my life. I don't know.
Because my theory is no one taught Guy Lafleur how to skate. People helped him polish that, but that was in there. And that's what I think you have. I think whatever dust gets sprinkled into amazing musicians, it got sprinkled into you. You polished it. You worked at it.
But I would say I just read something about Guy Lafleur, may he rest in peace. That he worked on those skills. Like I think that's where you start to.
Yeah, you don't just go out and do it. Yeah.
No.
Like he's by himself in is it Terso or Thurso?
Thurso. Yeah.
It's not Terso.
Well, it's probably pronounced
if you talk
Terso,
like
but it's
that,
spelled
Terso.
But he's out on the rink by himself.
Yeah.
Minus
Oh,
20.
yeah.
Right. Like, okay, do the slap shot, do the
Yeah.
slap.
Well,
anybody who takes
sure.
it to that.
Gretzky too. Walter Gretzky
Yeah.
built that backyard rink, and
Yeah,
Wayne
yeah.
lived there. Do you read music, Shane?
I can, but it would be very like if you wrote dog.
Okay.
I would be like,
Okay, that's a D. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The
It's-
reason
it's
I
not-
ask is my father was a classically trained musician. He studied at the York Conservatory in Toronto, played piano, played trombone. My brother picked up the bass guitar just on his own, and my father was forever riding him to learn how to read music. Learn how to read music. Learn how to read music. But you could see that my brother had what Terry just described, and I think there's a genetic component with musicians as well. My brother had that natural ability that my father had, but my father took it to another level by studying.
And that's a
music.
whole other discipline. Like that is very regimented, academic.
Yeah.
There's no, and if you don't continue to use it, it gets very...
Yeah, well, he didn't end up doing it for a living. I think he took 2 years in Toronto, and he went and he realized that the best he was ever going to do was become a music teacher in a high school, and he went, well, fuck this, and came back to New Brunswick and became an engineer.
I wish I could find the right example. I'm having trouble finding the right metaphor. I refereed hockey for 30 years, and I got to a certain level, and was kind of good at it, and I just know when the puck is offside. I don't have to be studying and judging. I refereed so many hockey games. I just knew, like, you knew it when you saw it. And to me, for Eddie Van Halen to come up with Eruption, that's something you're not going plank, plonk, pling, plang. You're picking up the guitar and it spills out of you.
Classically trained pianist.
Right. Okay.
Musical family.
Great point.
Brother was music, and shedding like Mozart.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken. From I've read quite a bit of interviews and all that stuff with Eddie Van Halen. Also a freak. Yeah. Like arguably, like if you look in 20th century guitar players, I mean Les Paul, Chuck Berry. We're talking straight guitar. Jimi Hendrix in the 70s. Obviously Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, all that stuff. But I'm talking like that would like it spawned. How many guitar players did Eddie Van Halen spawn? Let me tell you, a fucking shitload. Yeah. And then you would say pure guitar slinging Stevie Ray Vaughan in the 80s for the new blues resurgence, what we say, for 20th century guitar players. Like Eddie Van Halen's, like if you go back and watch him play, like just him picking up the guitar, it's like watching, Keith Fleur take a slap shot. Like, okay, that's the difference, You ever see somebody like hit a golf? I'm a terrible golfer, but me too. A buddy of mine's a good, like a really good golfer with the driving range, and I'm like, ding, and the ball's going fun. I'm like, cocksucker. Sorry, I didn't mean to say cocksucker.
No, I said it last time. It's somebody else's turn.
You said the CS word.
Yeah.
My mom's going to listen to the podcast. I wish she didn't say the P. Why did you say all that stuff about Verdun? I wish she didn't say the CS word and
Just tell her it's a podcast, and that's the way it goes on podcasts.
I got a feeling
you don't have to curse people, say bad things about you.
We're going to be here for quite some time, so we must take a break. We're with Shane Murphy, and I want to take a moment to thank one of our sponsors, our friends at Matelas Bonheur. If you're looking for a better night's sleep, that's what they do. They are masters at sleep and sleep technology and helping you get a better night's sleep. It's a family-run business that started years ago in a small old store that, by the way, is still there on Gouin Boulevard in Saint Genevieve. That's where it all started. Small store that they rented, a pickup truck with mattresses in the back. These guys are passionate about a better night's sleep and grew the business to where it is today. A Quebec-owned, Quebec-run, family-owned business where you're going to find a better night's sleep, I promise you. And great treatment and great people. Ted and I say this all the time. We love family-run businesses. And because you're listening to the podcast, there's a promo called TER05 and TED05, TER05, TED05. Online, in-store, mention it, get 5% off. Doesn't matter what you're buying. If it's on sale or it's regular priced, they will honor that promo code. Before you do anything about a better night's sleep, make sure you go visit the folks at Matelas Bonheur. They've got 18 locations in and around the greater Montreal area, and you can visit them online at matelasbonheur.ca.
You mentioned Van Halen and Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck and Jimi Hendrix. Does that caliber of guitar player exist today? Because off the top of my head, I can't. Who are the great guitar players today?
So many.
Really, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
And it is just like how hockey is today compared to, let's say, guys from the 50s and 60s in terms of the speed at which the game is played, the equipment, everything else. They're just, you have YouTube, which is a great resource, and guys are freaks. So, yeah, I would say.
But why don't I know who they are?
Because
is it because I'm old and I'm not paying attention to what's on the cutting edge?
No, it's because of the a blessing and curse, the immediate access to anything and everything in people's attention spans. Like playing live for me, I played live for over 30 years. Started playing 32 years ago, live in bars. And with this, the smartphone, the iPhone, it completely changed the landscape for me. People have no attention spans. People don't have to be. People don't have to work on a craft. Now I'm going to sound like this back in my day, my craft. With the TikTok, the Instagram, the Facebook, is that people they're their own rock stars. They're their own celebrity. And the reason I play guitar in public and make music for people is, yes, I love music, but I also like being watched and having that interaction, that exchange of energy. To answer your question is, now it's you really have to go looking for those guitar players. A guy named Blake Mills, freak. Derek Trucks, who I had the
I know Derek Trucks,
okay, so I opened for him.
He finger picks, eh? He doesn't use a pick, does he, or does he?
He just uses fingers, and he plays slide, and I had the opportunity to open for him to Tedeschi Trucks.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's a plum gig, boy.
Yeah, it's not super fun, though.
Like
when you want to go spar, you want to spar Mike Tyson. You're like, okay, I'll do it, but
yeah, but to think, fuck, man, I'm opening for Derek Trucks. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and I mean, I had the opportunity to open for Buddy Guy, Derek Trucks, a couple of guys, and had a drink with Buddy. He's coffee and how are you, sir, and very nice slacks and a nice shirt and just a quiet word, and not the same guy he was on stage at Metropolis. Open for John Mayall, stuff like that. Really good guitar players in his band, and there are guys like that, but you have to go see it, and there's so many, the population and everything. It's just, there's so many.
Did you have a conversation with Buddy Guy about guitar?
No. I just kept my mouth shut, and we were standing beside one another, and he had Johnny Lang come in as a guest.
Oh, wow.
There's another one, Johnny Lang. I'd forgotten about him,
He's a fantastic talent, super nice guy, but you're standing beside Buddy Guy, right? Like, it's Buddy fucking Guy.
Yeah. And
I'm sitting like this, and I'm just saying to myself, be cool, man, be cool. And you're just doing the side eye. You're looking like this. Did I make too much eye contact? Am I annoying him? Because he's on the road.
Yeah.
80-something years old.
Yeah.
There's a guy opening for him in every town who's like, holy shit, this is Buddy Guy. So I said, hey, Mr. Guy, how are you? Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me. Oh, great job. That whatever you said.
Right.
And I don't know if he probably did see the opening set, but great job. I said, okay. And that was it. We just sipped, watched, and I had a Jameson on the rocks. He had a cup of coffee and just watched Johnny, and he went back out, and I was just sitting there going, man, this is like, you're in heaven, right? Because that's a memory that I'll have forever. So
I just saw Chris Stapleton. He's a hell of a guitar player too.
Yeah, he's a freak. He's like one of those guys.
Yeah, he's
vocally.
Vocally,
a great guitar player, but
vocally he's a real freak.
He is, an exceptional talent. And people, whenever I'm playing bars, people are like, can you do a Tennessee whiskey? I'm like, no, I can't. Well, why can't you? I'm like, because it's fucking Chris Stapleton. They're like, well, just sing it. It's like, well, I can't just fucking sing it.
Yeah.
Well, just try.
Yeah. And
I'm like,
if you're wondering what Shane's talking about, after the podcast, go listen to Tennessee Whiskey.
Is Tennessee Whiskey a Chris Stapleton song, or is that an old standard that he does?
George Jones song.
Okay, because I know that the Cadillac 3 do a version of that as well.
Cadillac 3 and the Tennessee 2, you know what I'm saying? George Jones, I know the George Jones version, which musically is not like the Chris Stapleton version. It's like the music, I don't know for sure, but it's like he took the music from I'd Rather Go Blind and a James. Yeah. And then put the Tennessee whiskey lyrics on top of it. Yeah. Anyways, he's one of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or people say I'm playing in a bar, people come up to me, can you play any Queen? I'm like, bro. And I don't like to use the word bro, but it's very cathartic to bro. I'm like, you just been listening to me for half an hour. I can't fucking sing like Freddie Mercury. So, well, just try. But people are very encouraging. It's like, it's going to be a dog's breakfast. Yeah. Don't ask me. And you don't realize because you hear these songs all the time, you don't really realize how talented they are. So I watched, was it Live at Wembley? Was it Live Aid?
Yeah.
Queen?
Yeah.
1985?
It's now legendary, that thing. Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah.
And I was like, not a Queen fan when I was a kid, because it was like a bit too operatic. I guess I wanted more gut bucket stuff. But then as I got older, I was like, these guys are really good. And Brian May is literally a rocket scientist. Yeah. He's got his PhD in astrophysics. No fucking big deal. Show off, whatever. Built his own guitar with his old man in the woodshed. I'm playing video lotteries at Mahellers. Anyways.
Actually, you just triggered another memory when you said Brian May. I do know of another great contemporary guitarist, whose name I can't remember right off the top of my head, but I saw Brian May play on one of his songs that was covered by those guys from Las Vegas.
The guy,
You know who I mean?
the guy with the thing.
Yeah. I'm blanking. I'll look it up. You guys chit chat and I'll
Think
look
about
it up.
that and find it, because I want to. You brought up social media, Shane, and I'm wondering, do you think it's having an effect? Because there's a difference between two kids dancing on TikTok and a guy who's studied blues and been playing at live venues for 30 years. There's a difference.
Well, I mean, how many years in broadcasting do you guys have combined, would you say?
Yeah, 60,
Like,
70.
You know what I mean?
80 plus.
You're talking thousands and thousands of hours of reps.
Yeah.
Now, don't mean it's in a bad way. How many ding-dongs can go and just start their own podcast?
Anybody can. Yeah.
So is it cool? Yeah, but not really.
Is it helping?
So
no.
No, I think at first it was cool, but I think things spun out of control very quickly for me, for social media. Like I'll go on, if I promo my shows, it's horse and wagon versus the automobile. I can't go back. I have to post things on my Instagram, or whatever. But I think it's an unhealthy. I think it's I think so. Yeah, I think we're globally a pretty unhealthy fucking species, I would say. Yeah, like. You just go on it and you dance around, you use someone else's music, you shake your ass, whatever. And of course, people watching this who are into that, they'll probably roll their eyes and go, whatever. I'm like, yeah, well, whatever, but do something at least. Learn
a craft,
some artistry to it. If I want to see you shake your ass, then whatever. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a pretty unhealthy thing, and I don't think it's good. Have I discovered great things because of Facebook and Instagram and social media and YouTube, and that I would never have discovered? Right, 100%. But I think it's too.
It's the best. I like to say it's the best and the worst of everything. Yep. Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
Yep.
Kenny Wayne Shepherd does a song called "Blue on Black." Are you familiar with that song?
I'm not familiar. I'm familiar with him.
Anyway, Five Finger Death Punch.
At the metal band?
Yeah, they do a version of "Blue on Black." It's a great song. You can
just see me like this. Hey, I got the most overused word in college. Here. Hey, I got a name for the band. And it wasn't this. What is it? Five Finger Death Punch. Yeah. And they're like, bro, that's the fucking name. Five Finger Death Punch.
They do a version of this Kenny Wayne Shepherd song, "Blue on Black," which is an out-and-out blues song. And Kenny Wayne Shepherd does a guitar solo on it, and Brian May does a guitar solo on it. It's quite the menagerie.
I will check
I'm going to send you the link. Yeah, I think you'll like it. Yeah.
So here's a question I've always wanted to ask guitar players. I've been in studios. When I was in my 20s, I was lucky enough to be on the road with a couple of Canadian bands. So I got to look at the inside of the business. And I've been in studios when they were putting their records together.
Who'd you go on the road with?
There were a long time, old Canadian bands you probably haven't heard of. A band called Street Heart. Okay. And another band called the Queen City Kids. And I toured the country with them and, learned about the rock and roll life and being on the road and all of that. It was a lot of fun. And it was quite the eye-opener. And when we were in the studio, I got to see, the studios can be, great and fun, and they can also be very boring. When you're doing drum sounds for 12 hours, that's not
snare,
a great... Yeah,
Springsteen. Snare.
Thwack. Snare. Thwack.
Fuck Bruce.
Thwack.
Snare. Max, hit the snare again. Yeah, no, it's like that. It's weird.
It's like that. But then when it comes time for the guitar player to step in and fill in the solo, is there a thought process, or is it the ears and the eyes closed and you hear it and it spills off the neck?
Both ends of the spectrum.
Really?
There are guys who are very studious and they'll write everything out, or they'll work on a solo, record it, whatever device they use, get in the studio, okay?
Yeah.
Bruce Dickinson wearing gold diapers. Cut the solo, you do it, and that's it. Right? You got a fever. Queen City what? Queen City Kids?
Queen City Kids, they were called.
Yeah, and see, don't want to manage this band, see? I need the ball of hash, and I need it right now, see?
Whoops. I dropped my thing. Is there an aspect of the road that you love? Do you enjoy when you have to get on the road, pack her up, and get out?
I've done some fucked up tours though. Like you're literally 39 years old sleeping on the floor. It's like you wake up and you're like, maybe rock and roll's a vicious game for sure. I mean, yeah, it depends on the conditions, but to get out and to play music for Montreal, I'm happy for the continued support, but I realize it's like I played Montreal a lot.
Yeah.
In weddings, bar mitzvahs, every, dive bars, nice bars, Ritz-Carlton, Osheaga.
You've played some big crowds, though, haven't you, Shane?
For sure. Yeah.
What's the biggest crowd you ever played for?
Probably, I would say...
Was it Jazz Fest?
Jazz Fest,
Yeah.
I think, for my own show. It was an outdoor show. I think there was 5,000-6,000 people came to that show. So that's pretty fun.
That's a lot of folks.
I mean, Osheaga, that was you could play basketball 5-on-5 on the stage.
Yeah.
It's fucking big. When I get kind of stage fright a little bit, not bad, but that day when you walk out and it's the 500 series, I don't know what stage it is, and it's like, I need more. Can I get more voice in my monitor? The guy is over there.
Yeah.
And my drummer at the time, we're the first act on the main stage, and he goes, because I forgot my throne, which is the seat that the drummer sits on.
Right.
I said, don't you, we were playing Hurley's that weekend. So I didn't give a fuck. I needed the money. So I'm like, Hurley's, Osheaga, Hurley's. I don't care. The gig's a gig, babe. And so we're sound checking at 11:30, and it's a line check, which means you don't get up there and dick around. You're like, check, we're okay.
Yeah.
That's,
Next.
whatever.
Yeah.
So he goes, my throne is at my house. I said, well, you got the throne at Hurley's. Just grab it on your way. When we're coming from St. Leonard, drive down, grab it. Park, drop out. He goes, yeah, hangs up. He goes back to St. Leonard instead of picking up the throne at Hurley's. Now, all of a sudden, the Metropolitan being what it is, jam-packed, he calls me. Now, we're supposed to sound check at 11:30.
Jesus.
He's nowhere to be found. I call him. He goes, I'm in traffic. I said, why are you in traffic? He said, I go back home. I had to go back home to get the throne. I said, I told you to go to Hurley's and pick up that throne. He goes, yeah, but I don't really like that throne. I said, yeah, but now you're stuck in traffic.
Jesus.
And I'm like,
oh, God.
And it's it's not the NDG Legion I'm playing. It's fucking Osheaga.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Capital O. It's it's the real deal. I need more bass in the mother. I lost my hash in the thing. Can you get me another ball, please? Anyways, I'm ready to sound check. Drummer's not there. I turn around. I see a guy's working on the crew. I'm like, hey, bro, do you know anybody who plays drums? Main stage, Osheaga. He goes, my buddy Mike is a drummer. I turn around, this kid's wearing nothing but shorts, and he's covered in tattoos. And he's looking at me, I'm like, I look at him, I go, punk rocker? He goes, yeah. I go, you want to sound check with me? He goes, okay. And he's lifting road cases.
Yeah.
And he had, in Mike Nero, he played in a band called Trigger Effect, and tore it all over. And this was a punk drummer, fucking tattoos, in it to win it for real, right? So I'm sitting there, I'm like, listen, Mike, I don't mean this in a bad way, but you might have to play half an hour with me, Osheaga. And the kid is like, I came to list flight cases. I don't deal with this. I'm like a punk rocker. I'm like, hey, bro, listen, my back's against the wall here. Anyway, so he gets up and he sound checks with me. And I'm like, can you go like this? Boom, boom, da, boom, 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 bam, bam. And he goes, yeah. I'm like, just do that. And I was planning a medley in my head. Oh, man, I got stories.
Oh, my God.
I got one time we're playing.
Wait a minute, what happened?
Well, thank God. I said, I don't want to. My mom says, if you don't have anything nice to say. Anyways, Mike was very nice.
Yes.
Drummer made it at we were on at 12.
Okay.
Drummer showed up at
11:57.
Didn't last long after that.
Because it's like having a drummer that you don't know behind you.
The worst.
The worst. That's got to be like, having a stranger at the party,
so
right?
when you have a team that you know what I mean? You guys vibe and it's a team. You're used to that.
Yes.
That's a lucky thing.
Yeah.
Because when you don't have that on a bandstand.
It's like when somebody says that band is tight. That's what that means.
Yeah,
you're a unit.
Yeah, you're finishing each other's sentences. Yeah. You're just vibing. The podcast is flowing. You have that synergy, and it's the best thing. Yeah. And when it's not, it's fucking shit. Pardon my language, cocksuckers. Sorry. You may have to say that part about the drummer. Mom, I'm just being honest. Yeah, but I don't know if they're going to like that part about
I don't
Verdun.
think he said anything about it.
No.
The kid sounded like he was game to try and pitch in.
Oh, man.
But
We're at the bar. Coke dealer comes in. My guy goes, just gotta go outside because I gotta let my friend some golf clubs. I don't know what the fuck he said. I said like, hey man, I was born at night, not last night. Yeah. I know who you got. I know who the fuck you're going to see.
Yep.
Now all the curse words are coming out. Why you didn't tell me that the drummer had a coke?
Now both of our moms are going to be mad, Shane.
Yeah. Guy shows up. Next thing you know, sitting there like this.
Want to play another song?
No, this is the best. This is the best. Cocaine's never been my thing. Honestly, God, I don't judge, but I like it when I have friends who can do it well. You know what I mean? You go to the bathroom and you don't look like it. You go back. I'm like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, okay. Everything's, you notice that everything's got a bit of a hump to it today.
This is Shane Murphy. He's
Sorry.
our special guest, and it's time to thank another one of our sponsors, Ted.
Shane, did you know that we have an engineering firm who is sponsoring the podcast?
I did not know that, Ted.
We do, yes. As a matter of fact, that's because that's how highfalutin we've become. We have an engineering firm. We're also looking at possibly getting some architects and medical supply companies as sponsors. No, that's not true, but we do have an engineering firm called Vozwin. We were approached by Sean Smith, who's the founder and president of Vozwin, and said, I want to advertise on your podcast. And we were like, what? You're an engineering firm. We're a podcast, and sometimes we say cocksucker. You sure you want to be on there?
How are we going to get that cocksucking bridge up there? I don't know. Call it cocksucking. Look at these cocksucking plans. Who wrote these?
But he's convinced that it's going to help business. And you know what? We sent him one of the commercials that we've done in a previous episode, and he posted on LinkedIn, we are truly honored and privileged to sponsor the podcast Standing By, hosted by two radio legends in Montreal, Terry DeMonte and Ted Bird. Thanks, guys, for having us as a sponsor and for taking the time to learn about what a bunch of engineers and mad scientists do day to day. Isn't that nice?
Thought that was very nice, and as we have said in each of the podcasts, they'll take an idea out of your head and help you put it in your hands.
Engineering and engineering consultant, electrical, mechanical, industrial engineering, software development. If you have an idea for an invention or an innovation or an existing product or service that could be enhanced with engineering technology, go to Vozwin. They'll help you out. Vozwin.com. Thank you, Sean.
Shane, have you got an album that's a go-to? Have you got an album that you bought when you were a kid that you're on your fourth or fifth copy, or an album that just means the world to you in terms of guitar players or otherwise?
Very underrated guitar player, Keith Richards.
Interesting. Yeah.
Not flashy.
Yep.
But if you go back, Rolling Stones, I would have to say, for bands, is my favorite band of all time. So to answer your question, I think Sticky Fingers.
Sticky Fingers.
It's like a quintessent. Like I'm like, you know, Moonlight Mile.
Yeah.
Sway.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, there's so much in people.
That's only 10 songs, right?
Yeah. Like, people forget the amount of. I mean, talk about a band influenced by the blues.
Yeah.
You know, Keith Richards and Charlie Watts and Jagger to a degree.
And Brian Jones was the one.
Yeah,
that really
and Brian Jones. Yeah, of course.
Brought that to the fore for them. But great album. That's my, like, if I had to, like, one album.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff. There's so much stuff. I mean, maybe Darkness on the Edge of Town.
You Springsteen fan?
Yeah.
Hard not to be.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's really been he's one of the guys, I guess the two mainstays for me.
Yeah.
In the rock and roll realm would be the Stones.
What do you write a lot?
I have been.
Yeah,
these last 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The I don't know how the pandemic was for you guys, but for me it was. That's why I'm happy to be here and to be able to talk about it. It was in my world, like everybody else. When you say your world changed, it was like I had X amount of gigs. March 2020, things were good, rolling, bands rolling, working. March 12th. Ting, 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 ting. And it's St. Patty's Day, Montreal, St. Patty's Day weekend's coming up. And everybody had it. Obviously it was a terrible, terrible thing. But it was, for me, it was a blessing as much as a curse,
Really?
Yeah, I lost everything. Had no dough. You know, I was a gigging musician. You know, like I'm out there grinding it. Like I said, you know, festival, Osheaga, Hurley's, bar mitzvah, wedding, and I'm not exaggerating. Like that's for me. My code was you're a musician, you play.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah, do I want to be a rock star? Sure. Do I want to be an artist? Yeah. But at my core, I wanted to be a musician, you know, to be able to play. If somebody heavy walked in and said, oh, that guy put in his time, guy put in his dues, you know. Bo Diddley walked in and said, okay, and I played Bo Diddley for him. He said, yeah, kid, you got it. You know, that's what I wanted. And then I just started writing. I had put out an EP in 2016, and I had been writing an album for a long time, and it was kind of stuck in the mud, and it was like 30 songs, like it was a triple album concept. Maybe we were hitting the old, I think we should add another, listen, I got a concept for this. And then I went up to my buddy's house in Oromadante, like near Aurelia, and I recorded a 12-song album called Easy Street, summer 2021. Got back, things are fucked up, da-da-da-da. September, my buddy starts like a project studio in his basement, buys a bunch of stuff. He goes, why don't you come over and just come with Tony Lombardi, who's been my musical partner for like the last 10 years, plays drums and bass with me, and start, you know, doing some stuff. So I just went over and I said, you know what, I want to do some like gut bucket, like off the floor stuff. So then a blues album came together really quickly called Get Religion. And then called up my old buddy Mitch Melnick, Billy Bob Productions, this, that, whatever. He goes, listen, they got a spot at the Jazz Fest. They didn't book Club Soda July the 9th. I was trying to get a midnight show. If I could just like squeeze me in to do a set.
Right.
So the last Saturday of the Jazz Fest coming up, they gave me Club Soda. So I'm going to launch Get Religion. And
so this is going to be the first appearance of Get Religion?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You must be excited.
Yeah. And it's been, like I said, to really, I every day is precious to me now, you know what I mean? Like, and every time I get up on stage, it's like it was this, the second wind of all second winds, you know, like, you know, I'm in my 40s and I make music and make money playing music for people that, like, for me, that's
special.
And I'm lucky to be able to do that, you know. I did construction during the pandemic, like full on demolition, digging out basements, steel toe boots. Which I had done, you know, here and there, but not for an extended period of time with guys who really knew what the fuck they were doing. Pardon my language.
Well, real work.
Yeah,
you know, Ted, I know how you feel because Ted and I used to say that every morning over the last 30 years. Like, how fucking lucky are we, you know, because there are, you know, we were always so grateful for where we were at because we knew there were guys getting up at 5:30. They weren't going to a radio studio with donuts. They were going to a job site, and they had to start with their hands at 7 a.m. and they kept going till 5.
Nothing wrong with that either. An honest day's work, boy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I learned, you know, I'm bricklaying, working with masons, jackhammered, like all the stuff. And I had done, you know, I did landscaping, snow removal, this and that. Like, worked at physical jobs and no problem with that. You know, my dad would work as a heavy vehicle operator for City Conseil Luke for I don't know how long, you know, for 40 years, whatever. And my dad was a blue collar guy, got up every morning, steel toe boots. I remember coming home with, you know, with the sweat stains and all that stuff. And I'm very proud of my dad. But the universe was saying, like, hey, you know, if you want to continue to do this, like, don't, like, put some more work in. Yeah, you got the gigs. Yeah, you can play. Yeah, you can do this, whatever. But get back in it and do it again. And that's what I did. And so the two albums came together very quickly, and Get Religion more so. And it was weird, like, you know, when you do things happen, you know, and Mitch with Billy Bob and all that stuff and the shows that I've been doing with him, he said, oh, whatever, Club Soda. And he just said, I'll put the call in, and it was just open. And it's just weird how it's just rolling right now.
Mitch has been a great supporter, eh? Mitch is a great supporter of local music, loves blues, and I know it's been specifically a great supporter of yours over the years.
Yeah, and it's bizarre. I did from Easy Street, buddy of mine that I'd worked with, a guy named Gordy Johnson, Big Sugar. I did some work with him in Austin about 12 years ago at Willie Nelson's studio, and I put a couple of songs out, and he called me up and he goes, do you have any... are you working on any songs? So we had one of the songs finished from Easy Street. So sent it to Gordy. He goes, I did a mix. So Gordy does. He goes, I'm going to send it to my man Howie Weinberg in L.A. Now Howie's mastered Nirvana's Nevermind, all these crazy records. I'm like, Howie Weinberg, well, it's okay, whatever. So I sent it off to, and I never had a song played on Shone before. And that, as a kid growing up, it's just
Big deal.
It's the rock. Yeah. So I send it, put the word in, Bilal. Said, hey, man, so I got this song. So I'm going to kick it upstairs, boom, boom, boom. And then they started playing Painted Toes, and that's been rolling heavy rotation for the last
amazing
2 months. Yeah. And now
amazing.
So it's
that's very
been
cool.
very bizarre. Yeah.
That's great. Good for Laval. Good for Laval. Good for Bilal.
Yeah. Bilal is from Laval, actually.
Is he? Yeah.
He
And
tells
a fellow,
everybody he's from Chateauguay, but he's not.
and a fellow musician.
Yes.
Yeah. Now lives in Verdun.
Yes.
I want to talk more about the music business, but we need to thank another sponsor, Ted. And I think
We do, eh?
Yeah.
Who would you like to thank?
Well, I think it's the Merson's turn, isn't it?
I think it is, yeah. There's an NDG institution for you, Shane Murphy. You must be familiar with Merson Automotive.
Not at all.
Right down there on St. Jacques, just west of Cavendish. You should drop by and see them sometime.
I know. I heard great things. I just got a cold sweat there. I was like, I never had a car nice enough to bring to Merson.
You don't have to have a nice car to go to Merson. I take my car to Merson, and it's about 12 years old. And I'm glad I take it to them because I know that they will never sell me a product or a service that I don't need. I have never gone into Merson and taken my car and had them take it into the garage, and the garage manager comes out and says, oh, boy, yeah, that's going to run you. You don't get that at Merson. They tell you if there's something wrong with the car, they'll tell you what it is and how much it'll cost to fix it. But they're not going to take you down the garden path, as they say. They're just going to do what needs to be done, and they'll tell you if there's something that's going to need to be done down the road. They'll tell you, you know what, those brakes maybe in another 10,000 kilometers. You might want to have a look at them, but not the old. Oh boy, I wouldn't leave with that car in that condition right now. That's not how they operate.
And they also will sell you tires and find the right tire for your car and the right tire for your budget. That's how they got started all those years ago.
Their tires are their specialty, but they're a full-service garage. Whatever repairs or maintenance you need, go to Merson Auto. You can see them on St. Jacques, just west of Cavendish. You can visit them online at mersonauto.com.
Chatting with Shane Murphy, the radio business, as we were talking, the radio business, many other businesses have changed over the years. None more so, I think, than the music business, Shane. So you make a record now, you go into a studio, anybody can do it, and the most I shouldn't say all, but most of the music that comes out these days is that manufactured. If you look at, like my wife and I were saying, all the guests on Saturday Night Live this year, I turned to my wife and I said, "Who is this, Missy Arvey Futenfau?" And and it's all the manufactured, studio trick kind of, I'm not doing a very good job explaining it, but I wouldn't call it roots rock and roll kind of music world these days. It's a top 40 world. So my long-winded question is, what do you do now if you want to release an album and get it out to the masses? How do you let people know you've put all this blood, sweat, and tears into a new record?
You got to make sure that you're creating the music for the right reason. And if you're going into the music industry saying, I want to be, famous, and I want this, and I want the cars and the fame and all that stuff, then it's a very big mountain to climb, and you better check all the boxes.
Yeah, well, it sounds to me like you're going in for the wrong reason to begin with, if that's your.
But people do that, and that, and people are free to do what they want. I've written with people who, to me, it seemed like that was, the number of Instagram likes and if you really say, I want to be, I don't think Elvis wanted to be Elvis. I think Elvis really, when he sang, for me as a fan, you could really hear like he meant that stuff.
Yep.
That's all right, Mama. All that, trying to get to you, Lottie Miss Claudia. You hear him sing those songs and all the hits, of course, but you hear him sing those songs. He really had that intention. And yes, he looked like a, matinee idol and, the looks and the shake and all that stuff. But that was, for me, what he really felt. Now, if you're faking it, it's gonna be a long, hard road. Even if you feel it, it could be a long, hard road.
Right.
It's been a long road, but I think you can't really think about that because things are too, say the word not obscene, but things are too skewed. Everything's too weird.
So people go to see you at Jazz Fest,
Yeah.
and they go, "Holy shit, I love that."
Yeah.
Where do they buy your record?
Well, they can stream it on Spotify. That,
Okay.
like the nice fella in Denmark or wherever he is,
Yep.
whoever created that app. They can. I'm getting vinyl done for Christmas.
Oh, you
go
are? Okay,
So
cool.
you go ShaneMurphyOfficial.com.
Okay.
There will be T-shirts. Is a great thing to buy if you
Yeah.
if you like an artist. I will have T-shirts and actual CDs for people. Not that they'll play the CD, but the actual copy, like a keepsake. And it does make a nice coaster.
Yes.
Once you pull the CD out.
A lot of money in merch.
Yeah,
A lot of money in merch.
Yeah, just doing that and because it's all just too, I'm not perverse or obscene, but it's just too wacky because you can go into the studio,
Yeah.
and you can with the right producer go in and not any talent,
Yep.
and if you have the money. You know, you have guys like this. 5 guys will sit around and write a say, "What do you want to sing about?" Well, my car's a red car. Okay, red car, whatever, and they'll spit it out.
And I have a lot of bling.
Yeah, but is that the artist's fault, or is that not to get too too deep, or is that was that where we at as a society?
I think that's where we're at as a society. Like
because people don't care about your money and this and that.
I remember when I worked for those bands, we had a little independent company. We had those two artists, Streetheart and Queen City Kids, signed to our little independent record company in Winnipeg. We controlled the creativity and we sold the masters to Capitol Records and to CBS Records. And in those days, CBS Records, Capitol Records, Universal, they had what was called an A&R guy who would go around from bar to bar to bar, and here, I saw this band, you got to come and see them. Then the band would have to get signed, and then there would be a producer. The record companies were the funnel of the shit. Mm-hmm. So,
the gatekeepers,
they were the gatekeepers, and that was always portrayed in a bad way. But to me, it kept a lot of the wannabes
100%.
And pretend people
Otis
out.
Redding.
Yes.
There's only one Otis Redding. Right?
Yes.
Now, back in that era, there were probably 10 Otis Reddings, right? But Otis Redding was just that much better. So those 9 Otis Reddings that weren't on that level never got the chance.
Yeah.
It's shitty.
Yeah,
but
it's shitty.
But it's a big bad world out there. But you have Otis Redding.
Right.
Now you have Otis Redding, who's the real deal.
Right.
And that you have 9 Otis Reddings who are not the real Otis Redding saying, well, I don't want to take no as an answer.
Right.
I'm going to start my own thing. I'm going to do it and whatever. And now it's diluted.
It's diluted because they all got their own YouTube channel, and they, as you point out, even in the radio business now, when you're hired, they want to know how many followers you have and how many likes do your posts get, which has nothing to do with broadcasting. And I think the same is true.
You mean going in, they want to know how many followers you have?
New talent, if you can find it. There was a couple of things about the radio business. They don't want to pay new talent, number one. But number two, they're looking for people who can cycle radio into the world of social media. That's not the art and the magic of that medium, in my opinion. I don't own a radio station, but I think they're chasing the wrong thing.
Well, starting at the wrong end, that should be gravy.
Yeah, that's
the number
right.
of followers
Right.
you have on social media
and
should be
me-
gravy
yeah,
on
and
top
to-
of whatever you can do as a broadcaster.
And to me, when I'm sitting watching Saturday Night Live, and my wife, who's much younger than me, doesn't know who the artist is, I don't know who the artist is, and we watch 35 seconds, and we just think, this is manufactured candy. This isn't, and I end up sounding like my grandfather. I think to myself, this isn't music.
No, but in the early '60s, there was what? There was Fabian, and before the Beatles hit, there was Fabian. Who was the other guy? Was it Frankie Valli?
Frankie Valli was one.
They're Neil, not Neil Sedaka per se, but let's say Neil,
pop stars. Yeah, they were pop stars.
But it's just things are happening at a much faster clip now. Like if you ever see a 20-year-old, I'm playing in bars, so I'm in my 40s, 48 years old. They pick up the phone, and their thumbs are like I text at a certain rate, right?
Yeah.
Their brains are wired different.
Right.
You know, all my friends' kids are all iPads. Well,
Yeah.
we need that. You know what I mean? But they're just, and now you're like, well, do I give my kid the iPad or not?
Right.
Because now if there's 10 kids in the kindergarten class, and now my kid's the only kid that doesn't know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like things are weird. We're
Yeah.
in a weird spot, I think.
So when you're playing, nothing drives me crazier than people who bring iPads to concerts. I want to crack them over the head.
Yeah, it's
it's not a
strange.
nice thing to say, but they're so concerned with getting like a movie of the show, they miss the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's where their brains are at.
It's a weird, strange thing. I was at Paul fucking McCartney. Paul McCartney.
Yeah, because people want to put on their social media that they're at the Paul McCartney show.
Yeah.
They're not listening to
The
it. They
woman
just
in
want
fr-
their 100
The
friends
woman-
to go, I was at Paul
that's
McCartney,
exactly
where were you?
what was happening. The woman was sitting in front of me, was texting while one of the Beatles sang a Beatles song. And I wanted to say to her, like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're missing it.
But she's going
and
to look
he's
at you
gonna
like,
be
what's wrong
80
with
in
you?
June.
She's going to look at you like you're the crazy one. She's going to be like,
yeah.
I was at the Paul McCartney concert in texting, and some guy got all irate because I was texting.
This guy wasn't even recording it.
Yeah. And I get it. I was telling Ted and I were talking about this on an earlier podcast. I do have a video of me at Limo Watch waving at Paul McCartney and going, Paul!
Beatles fan?
Oh, massive.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Massive.
Yeah.
Beatles, I got a copy of She Loves You when I was 5 or 6 years old. It changed my life. But I know the genie's out of the bottle and you can't change it, right? Yeah. There was no sense in tapping this woman on the shoulder because that's the world she lives in now. She didn't give a shit that, Paul McCartney, who's going to be 80 this month, probably isn't going to tour for much longer.
And they have no idea, the shape he's in and the level of musician. So I'm always more of a Stones fan.
Yeah.
I was playing bass in my cousin's band.
Right.
It was the Stones.
Yeah.
We're in Beatles, we were Stones guys.
Right.
So
Gotcha.
they're all 30, 35. I'm 16. They're like, no, Stones. I'm Stones.
Yeah.
But my buddy's a huge Beatles fan, and he'll send me all the the reissues, and he's like, "Did you watch? What was the documentary? Was it
Get Back?
Yeah.
Or Get Back?
Peter
Get
Jackson
Back,
thing?"
yeah.
Yeah.
So he starts sending me like outtakes of McCartney doing Helter Skelter.
Yeah.
And they're just jamming in the room, and it's like a 9-minute version. And I don't think people realize, as funny as it sounds, how good of a singer Paul McCartney is. Like you guys know what autotune is, right?
Yes.
So you go in and it just it'll
fixes
it'll
everything.
fix what like. There's no autotune back then. There's no.
No.
It's not digitized.
No.
There's if you make the mistake, you don't have that synergy and you're not listening to each other. Like the take is fucked. There's no I'm going to go back and change it.
And
He can sing.
This was
real.
This was the thing that we were talking about this on a previous episode about the film. Was when I was a kid, I got Abbey Road for like the Christmas of '69, I think, and I remember listening to Abbey Road and thought, oh my God, there must have been so many gizmos and so much equipment, and there must have been all kinds of trickery going on. And you watch the film, and it's like a bunch of guys in the studio smoking cigarettes with a couple of amps
and tea.
and tea.
No, people don't get how
Like it's phenomenal what happened there.
they don't get how they
Yeah. So for me, I was like, get off your phone.
But
Paul
you're
McCartney's
a 19-year-old kid making hip hop records in your basement, right?
Yeah.
Now you have your buddy's making them next door.
Yeah.
And he's using autotune and you're not.
Yeah.
So you're trying to nail the vocal take. It's taking you 6 hours.
Yeah.
He's done it in 5 minutes. Now his song is already out amongst his friends.
Right.
So what do? Are you going to sit there for 6 hours? Or are you going to use autotune?
Two things. A, we should do a tweet sheet with Shane here because Shane's
Okay.
got a good sense of humor, and I
that's
think he'd
true.
enjoy
That's
this.
true. Yeah.
And B, he brought his guitar.
Yes.
I think that we should allow him to serenade us
Yes.
at some point
Yes.
before we go. All right, the tweet sheet, Shane, is something I do on my daily radio show, and Terry and I do it on the weekend show that we do on Light 106.7. I pick 3 things off Twitter, 3 funny tweets off Twitter, and I read them on the air. And for the podcast, I try to find the ones that I can't read on the radio because they're too salty, right? So I think I've got a really good one here, considering the guest today.
All right.
I think he'll get a charge.
How do
out
I
of this.
participate? What do I
You
do?
just
look
you
at it.
just
enjoy.
follow along.
Yeah,
You just enjoy. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Let us know if you think it's funny.
Yeah. Here it comes any minute now. From @ILovePie84. Man, these vaginas need to dry up. Guys who bring guitars to parties, probably.
100%. As a guitar player, may I say, please leave the fucking guitars at home.
Present company excluded, but how many
chicks are dancing?
Yeah.
Hey, stop the music. I'll play some Cat Stevens for you.
I thought you'd appreciate
Oh my god! What's that sound?
Everybody up on the peace train.
God!
Have we got a couple more, Poseidon?
Okay.
Yeah, I've prepared.
All right.
Alrighty.
Oh man, that's
From @El Knuckle Hombre, dishwasher plays a cute little ditty at the end of its wash cycle. Me, for the 1,000th time, looks around. What the fuck was that?
yeah.
Been there? Yeah.
No! Instant anxiety attack. You're in the shower. You leave the phone on the kitchen counter.
Yeah.
Oh! It's like Martin Sheen in Apocalypse Now. You just want to fucking tick the shit out of the mirror. Sorry.
Oy. All right, let's do one.
All right,
let's
one
do
more
one
here.
You're triggering me, Ted.
Yep.
From @AwkwardEnabled. As a child, I was told if I stayed calm, the bee wouldn't sting me. I quickly learned that staying completely still gave that motherfucker ample time to find the best place to sting.
This is very, very true.
100%. Squash him. I know bees save the planet, but fuck it. He's coming at me.
Yeah. No, get out of here.
No.
Yeah, I love that
squish
guitar
you
one.
in.
That's
Yeah,
the-
we've all been at those parties, eh? We've all been at those
Well,
parties.
you know what? I don't want to get. I shouldn't bring this up now. It's too late now. I've talked about it. Excuse me. My wife likes a particular bar of soap at one of the fancy shops because it's natural and whatever. And she liked this particular soap, and she went in to buy the soap. And the woman said, "Oh, we're not carrying that anymore because it's got honey in it, and that's murder for the bees, and we don't want to be associated with that."
What?
Yes.
How could there be murder for the
It's
bees?
their saliva.
Oh,
Apparently-
don't talk dirty now, Poseidon. I wouldn't have squashed that bee had I known where it was going. Bee saliva.
Some kind of crime, apparently.
You should do that at Starbucks now. You want bee saliva with that? Sorry? And your latte, the little bee saliva.
Tell me about this guitar, Shane. What kind of guitar is that? It's really an interesting sheen to it and look to
Yeah,
it.
it's just a Gretsch, which is a famous drum and guitar company, and it's actually a student model. Like it's three quarters,
Yeah.
so it's a bit.
Yeah.
I look like a bear riding a tricycle.
It's true, eh? It's a bit smaller, isn't it? Yeah.
It's made to learn on.
It is for students, and it's just it's I don't know, it's like $300, and it fits in the car.
If you could go to Steve's and buy any guitar you wanted, what would you buy?
I would buy their custom shop Fender Stratocaster, which costs $7,000.
Okay.
Which I
Curious.
tried, and I was like,
Because
we're 7,000.
they really do have. You can really hear it, eh? The sound,
yeah,
the
it's
sound.
just like if you ever get to drive a really nice car,
Yeah.
or drive
Yeah.
in a really nice car, you're like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, okay, yeah, I get it, and,
Right.
and if you're not used to, it's just the wood is the best of the best, the grain is tight, it's the best metals, it's not, it's just everything.
I don't know anything about guitars, but I've heard Stratocaster for 50 years.
Buddy Holly.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you
Hendrix.
go. Over 50 years even then. Yeah.
What I think we're going to do here is we're going to close out with Shane.
Okay.
Eh? And
Yep.
that means, pardon me, I'm just going to quickly say thanks to the UPS store.
Yes.
Eh? It's our last sponsor of this particular episode. And the upsstore.ca is where you start. Find a location near you, and you will find an entrepreneur who's running his own business that's going to help your business. A lot of people are working from home, have been, as Shane mentioned, since the pandemic set in. A lot of people do home businesses. If you've got packages to send, if you've got packages that need packing, if you need to send a fax, if you're looking for labels, if you are looking for anything that has to do with getting your business up and running and shipping stuff across the country, leave it to the folks at the UPS store, the upsstore.ca. They're all independently run and independently owned. There's over 350 of them across the country. And not only business owners are using them, but they can do things like, pack the cookies that you want to send to your grandparents in Edmonton.
What about your great aunt?
Your great aunt?
Your great aunt who?
Out of hell with her.
Come on, we had Effie, we had Griselda,
Yeah.
and you made up a completely new name yesterday.
Yeah. Aunt Gertrude. If you're waiting to
Okay,
send
there you
Aunt Gertrude the cookies, or if you have a guitar that needs shipping, they can make sure that it's safely packed up for you. You get what I'm trying to tell you. It's your one-stop place. If you run a small business or you've got to get something to Aunt Gertrude, the upsstore.ca. All right, Shane, what are you gonna favor us with?
Is that okay, Poseidon?
Of course, yeah.
Yes.
This is a song off Get Religion.
Okay. Shell tuned up?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
It's nice I took time. I'll tune it now while we're all waiting. It's cool, you getting it?
Yeah, we are.
Saw it coming, it got me running straight on back to the wrong side of town. You saved your money, you've got your family. Please forget me and go be happy. Eastern girl, I'm burning diesel. Please don't touch me, 'cause girl, I'm evil. And I would never be so cruel to treat you like a fool. But did I mention someone got to me? She got a flame from a stack, been blowing back. The angels moving heat up and down the track. Jerry's calling in the dues. I got the Western blues. Is there something wrong with me? I failed to mention that someone got to me. I failed to mention that she got to me. Eastern girl, I'm burning diesel. Please don't touch me, 'cause girl, I'm evil. Eastern girl, I'm burning diesel. Please don't touch me, baby. Girl, I'm evil.
Yeah!
Now I'm going to cry.
That's the first time I ever played that song live.
Really, eh?
That's
Wow,
fantastic.
that's first of all, I love the melody, and second of all, the lyric is really powerful.
Is that a Montreal song? East End Girl, West End Blues?
Well, it's just East End Girl, but yeah, Point
Yeah.
of Trom.
Yeah.
Point of Trom.
Wow. Just forget me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Go be happy.
It's
And now I'm going to sing a sad song.
Yeah.
shit. Is it a true story?
Yeah, true enough. Yeah, there are many,
Wow.
many elements of truth to it.
Wow.
The best stories and the best songs
Yeah.
are true.
So is that on the record, Shane?
That's the last song.
That is a great track.
Yeah, last song on the record.
That's a great track.
Cool, man.
Wow, what great! That makes me excited to hear the record.
Yeah, well, I'll put you guys, as they say, put you guys on the list, please.
Wow.
Are you going to play that at?
Yeah.
I'll be in town.
Yeah, he'll be in town.
I'll go for sure. When is it?
+1, July the 9th.
I'll be there.
Saturday night. It's the
Yep.
last. It's the last Saturday night of the Jazz Fest.
Yep.
And Club Soda.
Yep.
Doors are at 7, and it's going to be going to do 2 sets, and then we're going to have a late night jam. So
Yeah.
we're going to get a lot of musical guests that I know from town, and hopefully a couple from out of town, and just jam all night and see what happens.
That must be quite a trip, eh? When you just jamming with people, it must be quite a trip.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
you know, like if you guys interview somebody that really gets you going, that's stimulating. It's a fun thing, right? It's energizing.
Yeah.
And as opposed to, you know, if you're interviewing someone and you look over Poseidon, Poseidon's like this. and then he does one of these.
Boy, if I had a nickel.
That never happens.
The king of the sea wants to drown me. So it's a blast. It's a blast.
This,
Anyways, I'd just like to say thank you very much.
listen, thank you. We this has been a gas, an absolute hoot. This has been one of our, if I can blow smoke up our own ass, one of our better episodes.
Yep.
I think.
I could hear the vagina's drying up right now, like silica gel in my
Where can
in my
people
gym
find?
bag.
Where can people find you? Where can people find? What's the
IG,
website?
The IG handle,
Okay.
as the kids say.
Yeah.
Shane Murphy MTL. The website is shanemurphyofficial.com. I'm on Facebook. You can shoot me a message there.
Mm-hmm.
My band page on Facebook, I find it's not really whatever, but I'm around.
Okay, Shane Murphy, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
This was a lot of fun, Birdman.
It was, yeah. This was a Montreal podcast.
Yeah, I was like you. I had the goosebumps and the lump in my throat. That's a hell of a track. Poseidon, thank you.
Always a pleasure, gentlemen.
Thank you very, very much, and thanks for listening to the podcast. If you can, share it with your friends.
Standing By, the Terry and Ted podcast, is sponsored by Jaguar Land Rover Laval, where the luxury is unmistakably British. But nobody wears a top hat or a monocle